right. Well, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon if you are east of the Mississippi. My name is Hope Atwell, and I am the Executive Director for the Asian Real Estate Association of America. So, this morning or afternoon for this particular program, I am so proud and so honored to have Monica LaCrue join this particular program. So just a little bit of background about the presentation that Monica is going to go over. Last year, Freddie Mac conducted a survey to real estate professionals regarding different types of information that relates to COVID. And it was great that ARIA was able to participate and have our members be part of the survey. And so what she's going to do is actually share those survey results with us and some of the key takeaways that are important for our particular organization. Monica, just a little bit of background information from Monica. I am going to read her official bio and what she had sent over. Monica LaCrue is an affordable lending senior at Freddie Mac and a part of the single family client and community engagement team. Monica joined Freddie Mac in 2019 after she left ARIA.
Shame on me.
But I'm not going to hold Carmen against that. Monica works closely with industry diverse trade associations such as ARIA, NAREB, and NAREB, and other real estate companies and local and state realtor associations. Monica has been in the finance and mortgage and real estate industry for over 12 years. She started when she was 10. She has worn various hats throughout her career. I can certainly attest to that as a former manager and is well respected by industry partners. I know I respect her so much and love her so much, and known for her keen sense of really customer relationship, program development, education, and events management. Monica graduated from San Diego State University, woohoo, with a degree in history.
Yes.
And so Freddie Mac has been a great partner of ARIA. For those of you who know a little bit of history about ARIA, Freddie Mac in the early days, in fact, ARIA's history was the one who gave us our seed check, sponsorship check, thanks to Jim Park, when Jim had believed and Freddie had believed on the mission of ARIA. And if it weren't for that preliminary study that we were able to do with UCLA, ARIA would not be here. And so Freddie continues to support us in many of the studies, including State of Asia America report, and such as this particular study and survey that Monica is going to go over. So with that, Monica, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Hope. I'm so honored to be here with all of you guys today. I'm very excited to share the results from our 2020 Real Estate Professionals Research Report. So let me just click here on the next slide. So basically the survey was conducted in the fall of 2020, and it ran from basically September 30th until October 18th. And I'm sure, we really want to appreciate ARIA and your members for providing a lot of valuable insights and feedback on this particular survey. And I'm excited to share the results with you guys today. We partnered with Ipsos. It had over about 1,500 responses. Those who participated were real estate professionals, loan officers, loan originators, mortgage bankers, and mortgage brokers. We asked 30 questions covering topics on challenges, practices, the COVID-19 impact, underwriting issues, information sources, training needs, and your social media usage. To start, I'm going to share a little bit about who answered the survey. So who responded. 93% identified as real estate professionals. And we had a nice blend of participants when it comes to experience. Roughly 1/3 had been in the industry for over 20 years. 29% had been in the industry between 11 and 20 years. And about 40% had been in the industry under 10 years. We also see that at average, about 58% had 5 or less clients per month. And 53% sold anywhere between 6 to 20 properties per year. One additional call out here on the slide is that 77% of professionals identified themselves as trusted advisors when referring their clients to a loan officer or a lender. Now, I know that this relationship is very active within the ARIA membership. So Hope, can you share some insights on how this referral business happens within the ARIA membership?
Yeah, no. Real estate is a relationship business, right? It's not just, hey, it's a one-off and I am here just for a single transaction. Particularly, I think for ARIA and the Asian American and Pacific Islander community, is that it is a business and it's a relationship that they want to have for a long period of time, right? And we see that within ARIA. I'll share a conversation I've had with Tina Mac. I think she represented, she had helped one of her clients buy a property, and like 10, 15 years later, when that particular client was ready to sell that property, she was again the agent who represented to sell that particular property. So that's one example of how, it's a long-term relationship. And we even see that with our members who have relationships from their home country, right? Or from their country of origin. It's not just limited to, hey, I'm within close proximity, and so therefore I'm going to use you as an agent. It's because I have a relationship perhaps with you and your family or your friends, and because of that, I'm going to trust you to represent me in selling this particular property outside of the United States, or you're going to represent me as I find a property in the United States. So yeah, it is a trusted advisor. And I think with our ARIA members, they can certainly relate to that and attest to that.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. It's definitely, they become part of the family for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to dive in, we're going to start with some of the COVID related results. I'm here in California, Hope is too, and we're open. It's June 15th. We're all out. And so before, we start to make plans to visit each other and to get together again, we're going to revisit, some of the challenges we faced, a few months ago. So 1 in 25 clients, professionals reported that 1 in 25 clients, or 4%, had contacted them to get some COVID-related assistance. Now, that was usually around forbearance. Maybe they had a rental property, so they were, reaching out regarding that. So it was really around, getting information about what forbearance is and how they would navigate that particular scenario. The numbers did double for professionals who were working with Hispanic, African American, or low income buyers. And that isn't a big surprise for us. Obviously, those who work in minority communities, again, become a trusted advisor, and they continue to add value to the relationship after that. Now, I know that we're reopening, but the economy is still recovering and we still have a lot of work to do. So I want to remind you that Freddie Mac does have resources available if you have clients that are still trying to navigate, forbearance or have additional questions. We launched a hashtag Help Starts Here campaign that has been very successful and provides a lot of resources for buyers who might be struggling right now. So please check out that information if you might have some clients reaching out. Now, 81% of the participants share that their business was affected by COVID. In particular, it was a little higher in the Northeast. If you remember, maybe around the time we were doing the survey, New York and New Jersey were hit relatively hard when COVID started to spread. We also asked, what were some additional areas that were affected as far as it relates to your business. 62% reported that supply was an issue. We know that supply was an issue before the pandemic, and it only continued to shed light that was obviously the scenario as well. 35% reported that open house traffic was affected. Social distancing didn't allow for large groups of people to go through your house. 29% reported sales issues, 27% market competition, and 20% pricing. Now, Hope, I know that here in California, it took a while for some of the real estate professionals to be deemed essential.
Mhm.
And so I just want to see if you have any, open house stories or how ARIA members got creative to still continue to do their business during the pandemic.
Yeah, no, you're so right in that it took a while for the state to recognize real estate agents and brokers as an essential business, right? Just the buying and the selling of home. So what's great about ARIA membership, and you know this, Monica, firsthand, is that our members are tech savvy, right? They're early adopters when it comes to technology, and so I think platforms such as virtual platforms such as I think Matterhorn and all of
Mhm.
that stuff came in very handy. And if you think about it, those were platforms that were introduced to them, gosh, maybe 4 or 5 years ago,
Yep.
and because of that, and I think also because of their ability, our members' ability to transition quickly into a virtual environment and again, be creative to still be able to continue to conduct business, even if it's not in person.
Yeah.
The virtual came in very handy.
Yeah.
I think the pictures also, having a great photos and all of that stuff. And you and I had a conversation earlier about one of our members talking about a property here in San Diego. And I think the use of social media and just pushing out listings via social media, or even, Aria's Facebook forum, right? It's
Mhm.
very, very popular. It's very, very, I want to say there's a lot of activity. So to gravitate towards that, even without the in-person open house, I think was a seamless sort of like transition to for our members.
Yeah, I know. I definitely remember that company Matterport. I tried to get them to come and do a booth
Right?
at a few of our events, and they never did. But I'm sure they're very busy now, which is which is definitely
Yes.
great. Good for them.
Mhm.
Now, although many people did report, negative impacts to their business because of COVID-19, 1 in 4 actually saw their business improve. Even with these struggles, 3 in 5 shared that their clients were more eager to find a home. Now, this is most likely due to the low interest rates and the continued low interest rates that we see. Or it could be the fact that, a lot of people were working from home, learning from home, and so they needed more home to live. Um, on the flip side of that, 54% shared that COVID had a negative impact on their business, with 2 in 3 of their clients holding off on either buying or selling their homes. Now, the fact that people were waiting to do this and to sell their homes only continued to add to the supply shortage that we've been experiencing for some years now. And then, in addition to that, it only continued to drive down or drive up the costs and then add to the affordability issue that we're seeing today. And unfortunately, it's going to be the environment that we might be in for a little longer as well. So, regardless of the type of impact COVID had, it's definitely changing how real estate professionals are conducting their business. Now, at the start of the pandemic, to make buyers and sellers more comfortable, many professionals provided their own PPE to their clients. Sellers were hesitant again to open their homes to large group of people, so they moved to those private home tours and the virtual closings. We saw this more prevalent in the in the Western region. 68 had moved over to private tours by appointment instead of the 55% that we saw, versus the virtual showings, 56% in the West compared to the 48%. Also, half reported moving to remote closings. I hope you mentioned it. Technology has been a huge blessing to the real estate community, and these numbers just go to show that that's definitely the case. And it's going to be interesting to see what sort of changes happen, especially now here in California we're open again. Hope, what are some of the changes that you think the ARIA membership is welcome to have stay permanent after the pandemic ends?
I think one of the welcome sort of like changes is the ability to kind of like juggle remote and also in person, right?
Mhm.
Especially when it comes to attending events or staying staying within, kind of like within your professional development, sort of like cadence and all of that stuff. What we have seen, and I think we shared this with our partners last year, is that even with the pandemic, we still saw a lot of our members having the appetite on being informed and staying on top again of their professional development opportunities. And they saw this as an opportunity to, hey, I'm going to get my designation and I could just do this online and still, manage to balance my career and still, kind of like do all of this stuff. And by the way, when I get this designation, it only enhances my credibility, right, as a real estate agent and all of that stuff. So I think that that's a welcome change that, had the pandemic, if it did not happen, people would have still wanted to, hey, I'm going to take this course, and Aria, by the way, or whatever, is going to offer this in person. So I think opening up the possibility of continuing all of your education and getting your information from a virtual standpoint is a welcome change.
And I also think, just to piggyback off that comment, there was always a cost factor involved in going to something in person. You have to pay for the hotel room, you have to pay for the flight, you have to pay the registration fee, all your meals when you're there. And so a lot of times it was not as cost effective for some people to fly out. And providing education on a virtual platform, you start to tap into those people, especially, Aria's membership is very coastal. And so being able to tap into some of the, central areas in the US, and maybe build out membership that way as well, you're going to open up so much more opportunities to reach so many more people. So I definitely agree.
If I could just add something really quickly to that, is the only caveat to sort of like the virtual sort of like either education or program is just being mindful of the time that people are willing to dedicate, because you are competing with a lot, right?
Yes.
And so, even with planning for the national convention last year, we were thinking, okay, well, what is the threshold for people to actually sit online and watch, right? And we were using the kind of like the threshold for people sitting in a movie theater, which is about 2.5 hours long, or 3 hours if you push it with a trailer. And now, right, you're now competing now as states and the country and the whole world starts to open up, you're already competing with a lot of stuff. So just being mindful that I think people now want more sort of like chunks, right? Sound bites. And if you plan it in that perspective and not say, I'm going to take 8 hours of your time online, then I think you're setting yourself up, and also for them for success, and saying, I'm going to give 45 minutes or an hour of my time. And it's, I'm not competing with other stuff. So just sort of like the caveat to the
absolutely
virtual.
Yeah. And then making things available on demand too. Definitely. So, even with these changes, there were still, some familiar changes and challenges that we experienced. Obviously, we talked about affordability. 83% shared that there weren't enough buyers in their, enough homes in their buyer's price range. 66%, said that they were dealing with demand and supply issues. Obviously, we know that the shortage is definitely a top challenge that we're facing. And 55% are competing multiple offers. I read something last month. I'm based here in San Diego. You're based here in San Diego. The average home price in April in San Diego County was $825,000. That's $25,000 more than it was in March of 2021, and $150,000 more than it was of April of 2020. That is it just boggles my mind how fast that happened. I don't know if I'll be able to afford here in San Diego. I'll probably have to move to like Phoenix or something if I ever want to purchase a home. But these challenges are real. And, I'm sure that if we ask these sort of questions today, these numbers would only increase as far as the challenges that professionals are facing in the market now. So a couple more challenges that we're seeing or that professionals are experiencing here in the market. Attracting potential buyers and sellers. 52% shared that they had issues attracting potential sellers, and 28 attracting new buyers. Social distancing, stay-at-home orders didn't allow for you to get out and meet new people. So who are you going to sell homes to if you're not meeting new people? So definitely an issue for that. And then we obviously saw, the numbers more significant for those who are newer in the business. We also saw that they had newer agents had, or newer to the business agents had developing problems with issues, networking, meeting other professionals. So it was hard for them to, obviously, if they're not out there shaking hands, sharing a drink with somebody, to meet other people within the industry. As we continue to go back to normal and have in-person networking events and educational events, it's important that we keep this in mind and we tailor to it. I know REA is a great organization. You guys are very welcoming for first-time, attendees and whatnot. And so I know that anybody who joins the association is definitely going to feel right at home and going back and joining this organization. But REA has done a great, a great deal of virtual events and staying connected with your members. Can you share some success stories that you guys have had as far as engaging and keeping your members connected?
Yeah. So it was a challenge at first, right, to stay connected, just because it's like, well, how do we do this, right? Do we do this by Zoom and all of that stuff? And again, one of the benefits of working with Asian Americans is that the technology part was a seamless transition. And so the connection, just because a lot of them, or a lot of us, not us, because I don't, this, Monica, I barely have social media presence. So I think that social media, certainly the purpose of social media to stay connected, certainly was seen last year, right, during the pandemic. And we've seen that with a lot of our members, just staying in touch. What's also great about what I've seen with our members is not just the social media, hey, I'm blanketing everybody, and just is even just picking up the phone and just sending an email and just asking people, how are you doing? That personal touch, and that goes a long way, right? And just and I think that because for an organization that truly cares deeply for one another, and we truly one is treat each other as family, right? It's a family that stays together. It was great to just be able to have those monthly chapter presidents call and talk about those challenges and say, well, here's what we're doing as a chapter, right? And so that was, in a way, helpful to hear that other chapters are also going through perhaps the same challenges that maybe I thought I was the only one going through as a chapter. So
absolutely, knowing that you're not alone, for sure.
Yeah, you're not alone, right? We're going through this together. And while those chapter presidents call are sort of like mandatory to keep each other informed, what had happened last year was those were forums to actually hear that I'm going through the same stuff that he or she is going through, and that's perfectly fine. And we can actually share not just the successes, but also some of the frustrations. So in a way, that was sort of like a therapy session.
Yeah, no, it's definitely sounds like it. And I'm sure it's very, encouraging to be able to provide that to your leadership team, for sure.
Yeah. And because as Jim transitioned his leadership over to Amy's such a great listener. Jim has been such a great leader, right, forging ahead, even if the plans weren't as he had wanted it, just because of COVID. You see that continuity of communications, and even ratcheting up the communications with our leaders has been a priority for Amy and Tim, and the succession plan of our leaders in the future.
That's awesome. It's good to know. Aria is definitely in good hands, and you guys are definitely going down the right path. So moving on, oh, my mouse died there. Let me go back here. So now we're going to spend some time and we're going to talk about how professionals are staying engaged in the market and where they go to turn to get more information about their news or education. So there are many ways that professionals can stay up to date what's going on in the market. And the survey showed that most are currently leveraging real estate media publications, their colleagues or industry professionals, and personal development classes. Those were the top of the list. Now I know ARIA takes a lot of pride in providing resources to their membership. And so 60% shared that they turn to trade association and membership news. You guys have the State of Asia America report. I know that not only your membership, but a lot of industry professionals look to that to get a pulse on the State of Asia America home ownership. And then also your ARIA monthly updates, your bi-monthly updates, pulling the headlines that are related to Asian American home ownership or just the industry in general, and being able to filter it out so that it's condensed and important to what's going on in your particular industry. And I think that that's great. I know a lot of people obviously are utilizing that. Social media is also a growing area that professionals are starting to get their news and information. The results show that newer agents are looking at this a little bit more. And of the platforms, 90% are turning to Facebook, 49% are turning into LinkedIn, and 42% are actually turning into Instagram to get their news. The survey provides a lot of great information on how newer agents versus seasoned agents are consuming their news and information. So great information if you guys want to use that to kind of create some campaigns. You'll know where to target and who to target as you move along. Now that we know where you go to get your information, we wanted to know what kind of information are you interested in learning about? So we asked, what are some industry trends that you're interested in knowing more about? There was a high demand to learn about technology trends and changes in the industry at 60%. That ranked highest, and there's no difference between length of tenure in the industry. Leveraging social media tools and business marketing was number 2. Those just starting out in the business, obviously, were a little bit hungrier for this information because, they got to get their name out there. They got to, show their network that they're starting to sell real estate. So they were definitely looking for tips and tricks on how to do that. And then 45% were interested on buyer demographics, home buyer demographics and trends. Where is the next homeowner going to come from? What should I be looking for? How do I tailor my business to, millennials are up and coming. So, trends on that is definitely something that I would be looking for. And we have some information about that. This info is very, impactful for local chapters. When they start to plan their local events, if they're looking for topics of conversation, turn to the survey, take a look and try to tailor some of those, whether they're attracting newer agents, more seasoned agents, or just looking for some topics that we're going to drive people and membership at a local level. Next, we wanted to talk and find out what housing and mortgage trends professionals wanted to learn more about. Here at Freddie Mac, our mission is to promote liquidity, stability, and affordability. And so we took this survey as an opportunity to focus on affordability. Down payment assistance programs and mortgage products for low-to-income buyers were at the highest of interest. And there was also interest in learning, resources to attract new buyers and renovation mortgage products. We definitely have a renovation mortgage product that I'd love to share more about on another webinar. And it's no surprise, newer agents were hungrier for this education than the more seasoned agents. The more seasoned agents know how to attract their buyers. They probably have that buyer pipeline you shared earlier, Tina Mac, selling the same home a couple years later. So, those agents kind of have their pipelines kind of nailed down. And so obviously the newer agents were just a sponge for all the industry knowledge. But I want to remind everybody that education is still important. You are always consistently learning. Guidelines are changing. This pandemic showed us that we should be prepared and ready for anything. And so, just a reminder that if you have been in the industry, just pick up stay engaged in the latest trends that are going on. I definitely think that you'll learn something, even if you don't think you will. Providing education is actually what our team does. So our team is made up of Carmen Mercado, who's on the line with me today, and another colleague, Marlena Scott, and that's what we do. We provide education to real estate professionals. And so we wanted to find out, how many of you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about Freddie Mac coursework devoted to our affordable lending products and our resources. And we're happy to learn that 3 and 5 had showed interest in learning about our affordable products and resources. And this is great because using that last slide of your areas of interest and that you are interested in knowing about our Freddie Mac products allows us to tailor some information and sessions that we can provide. So if if you're a broker and you have a large office and you want us to bring in some local data, some local insights, we're happy to host, a 30-minute webinar session that can do a deep dive into demographics, trends, and then obviously go into some of those resources that can help some of those buyers. So connect with me afterwards. Carmen Mercado's on the phone. Drop her a note in the chat. We're happy to provide this education to you guys at a local level as well. About halfway through, so we're almost to some of our buyer profiles. But before we move on to that, here at Freddie Mac, we have an all for home approach when it comes to the housing ecosystem. What that means is we work with title companies, builders, appraisers, and many more to make up the housing ecosystem and make home possible for everybody. So I want to remind you guys that there's another resource out there. We asked a question about how many of you guys are using housing counseling agencies or financial coaching agencies, and only 1 in 8 or 12% have actually partnered with one. If you're not, this 1 person in 8, I highly recommend that you look up your agency in your market. They're a great resource. They're, training future buyers. People that go through this type of education are getting this counseling are a lot easier to work with because they know what to expect when buying a home. They get that education. They know what documents they need to close their loan. And they're getting that extra help. So it makes them a lot easier to work with. Not only that, but these agencies know about the down payment assistance in your market. Down payment assistance and saving for that down payment is a huge barrier to home ownership. And so knowing the resources where to go to when that sort of grant actually gets funded and has money is definitely important. So partner with these agencies, and this is only going to build another buyer pipeline for you guys as you continue in your business. So we're going to dive into those buyer profiles. I want to remind you that this presentation will be shared afterwards. I'll send a PDF presentation. The actual survey is available online as well. A readout of it. It goes a little bit more in depth in what we're covering today. We have a lot of buyer profiles. I'm going to cover 3 of them with you guys today, but there are some more available online, and we'll share the link on where you guys can go to find that. So to start, what we did is we wanted to highlight, the challenges that home buyers are facing today. And obviously, number 1 at the top, 83%, not enough of homes available in my buyer's price range. They go all the way down to clients not having enough money for a down payment, a lack of understanding the home buying process, fear that they won't qualify for a mortgage, all the way down to language barriers. Now, we all know that these challenges are real, and a lot of your buyers are probably facing them today. I'm even facing some of them today. And so it's our job as professionals and to educate people. And, Freddie Mac has resources to be able to do that. We have our Credit Smart education that can provide financial literacy to your buyers if they don't know, if they're scared. We also have Credit Smart Homebuyer U that walks them through the home buying process that can help them understand what's needed and what to expect. So I'll provide those resources to you guys at the end of the presentation as well. So our first buyer profile that we're going to dive into is a first-time home buyer. Now on the left side of the screen, you see here the challenges, and consistently across the board, first-time home buyers are having a harder time in the market. You see consistently 86% versus the 83% not available, homes available in their price range, multiple offers. They're dealing with a little bit more when it comes to, putting those offers in. And then here on the right side of the screen, First-time home buyers are looking for a move-in ready home. 43% are looking for a move-in ready home, and 34% are location is very important to them. And we know that that's not always the case. And so knowing and understanding what some of their challenges are, you can come up with some solutions in particular when you're working with first-time home buyers. Also, 5% reported that their past clients had reached out to them to get COVID-related assistance. And so that's another call out there as this, we look at this buyer profile. Our next is our low to moderate income buyers. A big call out here in that red circle, 50% had unrealistic expectations when they were searching for their home. That's not a surprise. We think that home buyer education would help remedy a lot of this. And so we encourage you guys to, if you are looking with a buyer who is low income or moderate income, it's free education that we provide. So we definitely encourage you guys to take a look at that. 7% reported that their past clients had reached out, contacting them to get COVID-related assistance. That's 2 points higher than the average of 5 that we saw. And so this is, definitely another point to education, educating your home buyers on what to expect and being a resource for them as well. Professionals who are working with low to moderate incomes saw that 57% negatively affected their business, and that was the highest amongst the groups. So last but not least, best for last is the Asian American profile that we outlined here. Now, if we look at the challenges, we see a few areas that trend a little lower. So 80% shared that there was not enough homes in their buyer's price range. That's 3 points lower than the 83% that we saw. And 50% had a problem attracting potential sellers. Now, if we look over at the impact on their business, only about 32% shared that there was a positive impact on their business. Now, these numbers all correlate. Those working with Asian American clients were busy during COVID. They were the ones selling the homes, basically. And so we see that in these results here, with buyers being able to find homes in their price range. And it was definitely positive on their impact on their business. Now, if we look at the bottom left-hand, we're going to look at the noticeable audience differences. Now, again, this is just for those who had, participated in our survey. And so that's what this call out is for. So those who had answered the survey, they're least likely to use social media to get their information. It's probably all those great ARIA updates that you guys are sending. They're not turning to Facebook to get their news. And of their social media, they're more likely to use Instagram, which I think is definitely on keen with the way Asian Americans trend on technology. Definitely the newer, the better. And then this was interesting to me. It'd be interesting to see how ARIA has experienced their in-person workshops versus their, maybe their Facebook Live watch counts afterwards. Those who answer the survey say that they're least likely to prefer in-person professional workshops, and they're more likely to prefer self-guided online trainings. And so it's just different than how the other groups were answering the survey. And then the last bullet point here, and I'm going to take this as a challenge. It shows that they were least interested in learning about Freddie Mac education focused on affordable lending products and resources. And that could just be to the clientele that you guys might be working with. And so I'm going to partner with ARIA and make a promise to you guys today to bring more education and knowledge about our products. We all know, we look at the State of Asia America report, there is that stigma out there that, Asian American homeownership isn't an issue, but we all know that it is. And we want to provide resources to you guys to be able to educate those that might have problems saving for a down payment. Maybe they're looking for a home and that's, may need some renovation. We have some products that can focus on that. So I'm going to hope with you. You can hold me accountable. We're going to bring some resources and tools to you guys to be able to get interested in what we're providing. So I have a few slides to close out, and then if you guys feel free to answer put some questions in the chat, we'll be around here to answer those. Again, we'll share the links to make this available, but we have some exciting news. Freddie Mac is hosting a 2-day summit. It's called Empower Your Outreach Summit. And this summit is really our answer to the survey. You know, we got we heard you loud and clear what your challenges were in networking. You know, you want home buyer demographics. We're going to do a deep dive into millennials. We're going to talk about products and resources that are free to you. So register. It's going to be in LinkedIn Live next week, the 22nd and the 23rd, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific. It's free. We have Tim Herr, who's actually going to be joining our diversifying home ownership panel, talking about the importance of diversity. And we have a video recorded by Amy and your Edge Chair, Ashley, talking about the importance of joining ARIA and what the membership could possibly provide to newer agents interested in joining. So very excited about this event. I encourage all of you guys to attend. And then the last resources we have available to you is our Real Estate Professionals Resource Center. You know, we don't lend directly. We can't sell anything to your clients. We are really here to be your partner to make home possible. And so if you're interested in getting news and insights that highlight, you know, upcoming buyer trends, events, subscribe to our Real Estate Professionals Resource Center. You're going to visit this link. And when you go to it, you'll go all the way down to the bottom of the page. There'll be a little box that you'll enter your email address in. You click sign up, and then you'll start getting some information and updates on us. So that's all I have to present on today. I really appreciate you guys all coming out and listening to me here about, you know, the survey that we have. And, you know, Hope, is there any other questions you guys have? Or if you guys have any questions here, let us know.
Yeah, no, thank you, Monica. Thank you for the information and for pretty comprehensive survey results that you've shared with us. I just wanted to comment on the last 3 slides and the buyer profile. It's interesting to note, right, you talk about the first-time home buyers and the low to moderate income, the property preferences, number 1 is move-in ready. And then you get into the Asian Americans, and move-in ready then becomes secondary to the location. And I think that that's an interesting takeaway, right? Because for a lot of Asian American and Pacific Islanders, location is probably paramount. Location, because we want to be in proximity, or whether it's in proximity to our family members because of maybe childcare reasons, right? Or it's because we want to be in a location that is situated in an excellent school district. So, you know, some of the, I guess, if you're an attendee or a listener at this program and you've never worked with an Asian American client, know that location, again, is paramount to the decision because of the considerations, again, school district, proximity to family members, or proximity to a work or whatever. And I think as a community, we're willing to make those sacrifices of renovation and remodeling versus getting into the home where we want to be as far as location. So I'm sure a lot of people did notice that, but just wanted to point that out, that on the 2 profiles, you know, again, was top, and then it moves to the as a secondary reason when it comes to Asian American borrowers or buyers.
Great. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
we have a comment in the question here that location is also important for Hispanics as well. Yes, and so the full report is available on our website, and I'll share that link afterwards. If you guys want to make this available to those who attended today, I can share that information.
Perfect. Thank you, Monica. Are there, Vanessa or Jazz, are there any other questions from the chat or Q&A? All right.
Not that I see.
Great.
Pretty quiet, and Monica, you did such an amazing job with covering a lot of the data. I know it's a lot of data, it's a lot of numbers, so pretty amazing stuff here. And again, we continue to be grateful to the partnership that we have with Freddie, because it is data like this that is so helpful. Oh, it looks like there's a couple, there's one more. Daniel, what are your predictions for the housing market and interest rates through the summer? So Daniel, I'm going to take a stab, and Monica, I don't know if you want. So I'm not an economist, and my prediction, this is Hope 12's prediction, not Aria's prediction, is that it's going to continue to be a hot market just because of the inventory, right? And I don't know what the feds are going to do about interest rates. Hopefully, they're not going to increase
I
it.
think they're meeting this week, right? I think they're sometime.
Even if they do, right?
Yeah,
No
it's not going to be
to the 10% interest rates back then.
Well, what our economists are saying, and this is available on FreddieMac.com as well, is it's they're going to stay low for a while. I don't think we project an increase until like late 2022. So yeah, definitely going to stay low. That only means prices are probably going to continue to rise. So
yes.
I was having a conversation with a couple of girlfriends, and they're like, one's talking about selling. And I'm like, unless you are going to sell your home and travel, then don't sell your home, because you won't have anywhere to live. So, but it's an interesting market out there. We appreciate all that you guys are doing. I know it's tough, and so stay in there. We're here to provide resources and tools that can make it possible. So please reach out. I'm so glad to be back here at ARIA with my family, and my fingers are crossed. I'm going to get up there and hopefully to see you guys in San Francisco. And thanks guys. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Monica. Thank you, Carmen, and thank you everyone for attending. We will be pushing out the PDF of the presentation. Have a great afternoon.
Bye.
Bye.